This is about declare, pay, and walk away. And we've gone over this enough times. But the question is, why did this tax amnesty covered just between 2011 to 2016? Do you have any idea? And that brings us to that, the third hanging fruit there. The years covered is just 6 years. Why was it? Why was it not extended all the way back? Why 2011 to 2016? Well,
there are a lot of practical and legal issue that's associated with tax open years. So in our tax laws, there's what we call the statute of limitation, or the number of years for which tax authorities could legally come back at you to say you need to make good any default. Ordinarily speaking, that covered the immediate past 6 years. Unless and until a case of deliberate default or willful default, which then get into the realm of pure legal matter, criminal offense. So that's the only time when the revenue authorities come at you to say we're doing an investigation and therefore we're going beyond the 6 years. So in the first course, the number of years that are open for audit is typically 6 years. So my view is that government probably tried to avoid the controversies that could be connected with opening more than 6 years, because a number of taxpayers could come forward to say, look, based on the law, unless and until you have established that have committed a criminal offense, you can't go beyond the immediate 6 years. So that's one on the legal side. But also, practically speaking, record retention period by companies and by corporates also are governed by statute. So for how long can you continue to keep your records? And just wait indefinitely for revenue authorities and tax authorities to come back at you. So if the tax authorities wake up one day and say, we want to audit you for the past 12 years, and you could go back to the law to say, statutorily, I'm only expected to keep my books for this number of years. So there could be some dragging back and forth. And maybe just finally, the government just realizes that, look, you have been defaulting for many years, but let's draw a line. All right, on the sand, and just say, between those time, make good of whatever areas you've had, and then going forward, you can continue to do the right thing. You can continue to go and sin no more. Yep. That feels good. But how much has been achieved? In the news, what we've gathered is that it's just about 20 billion out of $1 billion. That still looks to me like a drop in the ocean. Well, that's what we read in the papers. But I can tell you for a fact that that number can be anything close to reality. Judging by the last-minute mentality of Nigerians, the number of applications that I have to deal with, for example, for my client in the last 1 week, probably exceed all that I dealt with in the entire month of March. And the number of applications I treated in March is probably more than all of the prior 8 months. So the exercise probably didn't pick up until the later part of 2017, towards December and November. That's when the campaign and the sensitization and the public campaigns actually picked up. The first 3 or 4 months, I think the government were trying to do the drawing, trying to make sure that the rules are in place. They're contacting the revenue authorities, setting up the structures, and just a little of it is known outside of the big professional firms that are probably supporting the government on this case. So, but when we got to November and December, we started seeing some of our going around with the minister, with the Federal Inland Revenue Services chairman, and all of the state chairmen. The road shows. The road shows, and the road shows started. And by the time we crossed over from December to January, tax had become a trending word. We started having... Meaning that folks now begin to take Kemi Adeosun and Fowler more seriously, and it looks like there is no turning back. That's correct. So, because we can't leave the fact that there was a lot of trust issue that is associated with any scheme that is launched by the country. Taxpayer want to sit back and just observe, is this real? Is the intention genuine? Will it happen? Will it happen? Do they have the willpower to go all out? So if I don't go, can I really be found out? And until some of those details started getting into the public and people started receiving love letters. I got it. Yeah. I got it. And I think you got one of those letters, right, Bosa? No, I didn't. I checked my mail, but since I don't use a P.O. box or PMB anymore, I wish that would come in my email, but I'm still checking. I'm still checking if I got. But I didn't get from those thousands of people. But I think, perhaps, what do you think really got folks running to you and to other firms, big and small, federal, state level, to say, look, I want to declare
Is it that the Nigerian authorities been able to sign some documents with certain countries, like Mauritius, for example, and others, and then with the UK as well, and then they've gotten everybody's BVN right now. So I'm sure the finance minister will have an idea how much I have in my bank account. So if the VAIDS guys want to come after someone like me, I will say, well, Bosun, we have your VAIDS, we have your land registry, whatever, so we can just go after you.
Right. Do
you think folks are scared?
I think they are, and rightly so. A lot of things were happening all around us. Globally, we see Nigeria, strengthening its ties with different authorities around the world. The automatic exchange of information kicked in. The UK tightened its rule. The unexplained world order, became implemented. Effective 1st of January. The Project Lighthouse that the federal government is doing, which is data mining, merging BVN with CAC record and all of that, and all of a sudden. Some of the high and mighty who thought they were completely hidden started receiving love letters to say, look, we've checked through your record. We can't see you on our dashboard.
You're sitting on 10, 20 board of directors of companies, and you declare just one. Hypothetically.
That's right.
So the CAC unmasks those who have been hiding.
Absolutely.
Let's examine a few of the issues here. Right. And where we stop has to do with why folks suddenly, at the last minute, started coming up from under the rug, and somebody says, hey, hold on a second. I need to let you take a look at this because I don't want to get caught in the web of this March 30th deadline. So, but what are the key issues here in Nigeria's tax system that makes tax a very naughty issue to untie, as it were?
Right. So it's a whole lot of interconnected issue, and you can't isolate the challenges with taxation in Nigeria from the overall business environment, or in fact living in the country. So we're battling with a whole lot of as a developing economy, we're battling with a whole lot of issues. Infrastructure, capacity, knowledge, and the ease with which we could run through policies that other nations run through quite easily. So the VAIDS scheme is a very brave attempt by trying to make the best out of the challenging situation that we find ourselves. So I think Bill Gates, that visited us a couple of days ago, put it in a very nice way. The tax system is at a low equilibrium. The tax penetration is low, but it's also because people also receive some low level of service. So there's the challenges with doing business, there's the challenges with paying taxes, there's the challenges with, the earning power of the people. And so, in a way, there's a lot of handshake with the amount of taxes they could pay. If we isolate the few, and mighty who ideally should be doing much more than that. So, and that's what the government did. So, whether or not this VAIDS is extended, I personally will plead with the government to say we should listen to the plea of the business community and the taxpayer to consider an extension. I know that government will probably have resisted the urge to extend, because if you do that, folks in the country will probably have gone back and wait till the very last minute again. But adding maybe like an extra 3 months won't do any bad to the country. So let's roll it forward a little for 3 more months, and let's have one full year, and that will coincide with the 30th of June, which is the filing deadline for many of the corporates. So they still have an opportunity to regularize their tax return. So that would be my ask, on one side. So, but beyond that, even when that is done, that won't solve all of our problems. So we need to go back, to fixing the fundamental tax issues. We have problems with the outdated legislation that we're operating with, for example, 1979 Act, 1993 Act. In a modern economy, in a modern business, is not appropriate. We need to sit up, and do the right thing. We need to fix the issue of multiplicity of taxes and levies that people talk about. So there's a whole lot of things that we need to do, in moving forward.
Let's come back to the VAIDS and the tax amnesty. And I sat down in the panel listening to the Ghanaian finance minister,
right,
on Tuesday in Abidjan, and he was speaking about how the Ghanaian authorities are approaching something close to copying this tax amnesty?
It's actually been copied. So 1st of January this year, a similar tax amnesty scheme rolled out in Ghana. So it's going to be on until 30th of September of this year. Exactly the same kind of scheme. 9 months. The same kind of scheme that Nigeria
so when the foreigners